Hello there. So, welcome. My name is Matt, if you don't know me. And this is the start of me documenting my journey to financial freedom. I decided that it's going to be really beneficial and rewarding to document the whole journey from where I am now to when I get to my chosen destination. And I want to show people that it's totally possible, and although I'm not there yet, I do believe I will be in the future, because I have been making actions and I will continue to make the correct actions to achieve financial freedom. So I'm currently on the way to work. I'm going to B&Q, which is a hardware store, and I'm going to collect some stones for a project I'm doing for an estate agent. I've been laying slabs and scattering stones basically, and hopefully just finishing the job today. So it's my own business. I've been running this now for about a year and a month, and I have been sort of on a little journey for the past 2.5 years since I arrived back to the UK from my travels, where I was living in New Zealand and Australia. And it's been a really tough adjustment, to be totally honest. I've come home with my tail between my legs, and I've been trying my best to make the necessary changes and steps towards becoming more financially secure, and hopefully the person that will be able to achieve the things that I want. But it's not been easy. I've had to do a massive deep dive and tear myself to pieces, really, in some regards, because I understood that I was not really a catch for a partner. I wasn't capable of being a father. I wasn't a successful person. I just lived a really fun life, and I don't regret it one bit. I learned a lot of cool stuff. I met some amazing people while I was travelling. I had an insane amount of fun, and I'd imagine most people my age, if they haven't done it, would regret or will wish they did what I did. So yeah, no regrets, but it's still a really bitter pill to swallow when you realise how far away you are from where you want to be. Which is why I'm on this journey now, and the reason why I started my business, and the reason why I am not already a lot closer to where I want to be. So, to be real with you, I'm still living with my parents. I am, not wealthy. I don't own a home. I haven't really got any investments. I've got about £300 in crypto. I think that's the only investment, minus a small pension which was set up by a company I worked for years and years ago. So I'm financially pretty behind maybe the average person my age, but I'm making these videos now to show you the changes you can make very quickly, because I do believe that in a short space of time I'm going to catch up with a lot of these people. So the current track I'm on now is to buy my first home, and with the skills I've got, the van, the tools, the knowledge, I can renovate it myself, and I feel like I can instantly improve my financial situation. So I'm going to be documenting the next bit of time my journey from being a business owner, living with my parents, not having much money behind me. So if you're wondering why I do property maintenance and how I came to start my own business and things like that, then I will give you the answer right now. So when I was first left school, I went into joinery. I worked for a joiner shop. I had no prior skills in woodworking or anything like that, but my family sort of especially my dad and my granddad and the men in my family, they said that I needed a trade as a backup. And after I finished working in a retail outlet, they sort of found an opportunity with one of their sort of acquaintances who, you know, my family drank with. There was an opportunity to join a shop, just being a labourer. So I applied for the job and got it, and I started labouring for this company from when I was about 17 until 21. And I eventually, you know, became a bench hand and learned on the saw and sort of learned a lot of basic carpentry skills and work ethic and stuff like that. It was a male-dominated environment. Everyone was way older than me, pretty much, and they beat the physical and mental crap out of me and whipped me into shape. So I learnt a lot of discipline. I learnt a lot of life skills from working there. And then when I left to go travelling a few years later to Australia, I used those basic building and carpentry skills to leverage to get construction work. And over the space of 5 years, I worked for various construction companies. I worked for carpenters, landscapers. I worked in orchards. I done furniture removals. I did concreting work. I did so many different jobs. So when I moved back to the UK, one of my closest friends has his own construction business. I transitioned into that quite easily, and now going to the stage where I had the opportunity to start the business. Well, I didn't have the opportunity. I made the opportunity, but when it came to around that time, I'd had about 7 or 8 years in the manual working environment, in industries. So I had quite a lot of skill and knowledge, and at the time my van had just broke, so I was looking at getting a new van. I had no real tools. I had like a few basic tools like a drill and a hammer and chisel, but I didn't have any power tools to do much with. I didn't have a shovel, I didn't have a rake, I didn't have anything. So I wasn't getting paid good because, you know, I wasn't offering much to the table apart from my skill, but I didn't have the tools to do the work. So yeah, my wages were reflected. I was getting paid poor wages. I was quite uninspired in life because of the come down from the travels and everything like that. And now my van had broken, so I was in this sort of dilemma. I had no money to buy a new van, so I had to bite the bullet. And I made a really quick decision to take out a £5,000 loan, where I would use the £5,000 to buy a vehicle, and then I was going to put the other piece of money, which ended up being £2,000, towards tools. So 3 for a van, 2 for tools. That's £5,000 of a business loan. It was 12%, so quite expensive, and I paid it back. Well, I'm paying it back now, obviously. And I decided to get a bunch of flyers printed off. I made a sort of brand name and a logo. I didn't go too deep into it. I didn't get like t-shirts and the van sign written. I just really basic. And I started handing out flyers in December of 2023. Literally just before 2024 turned. So yeah, I took the leap. I think a lot of people thought I might have been a bit crazy because 1, the time I started was terrible. 2, I hadn't really got the relevant experience to be a businessman or to go alone, people might have thought. To be honest with you, I wasn't sure myself. I had the confidence. I backed myself, obviously, but I'm going to be honest, I was shitting myself. I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't know if it was going to fall flat on my face. But I knew that the tools were a good investment either way I looked at it, and all I could do was give it a go. So after handing out 1,000 flyers, which my stepmom helped for a portion of it, which was really kind of her to get me started, we got the 1,000 flyers out. I got one phone call off 1,000 flyers, and that one phone call was my first customer. Her name's Maureen, and I began to garden for her. I'd obviously done landscaping, and let's be honest, gardening's not total rocket science as long as you're not getting too technical. If you know what a weed looks like and you know what tidy hedges and pathways look like, I think you can do gardening. And that's what I did. I started gardening in December for Maureen, and she recommended me to one or two people, and a few members of my family had a few odd jobs, and they kept me going for a little while. And before I knew it, my business had started taking off a little bit, not lots, but I started getting a few phone calls here and there. I started advertising and posting on Facebook, and I'd done the best job possible for anyone and everyone that I work for, and I started ticking over. I wasn't getting loads of work through the door, but with the help of family, friends, and my new customer base, and the good efforts and work that I was doing, it was sort of trickling. And a year later now, that's been consistently the case. I've been working like that for a year and a month now. I've been doing some subcontracting for a few people when I've had quiet moments. It's the only way. And I've had quite a bit of time where I haven't been able to work, whether that's due to the weather, whether that's due to job cancelling, whether that's due to not having the work. But yeah, it has been stressful, but admittedly I've taken this on at a time where I can take risks. And before I head into work, which I'm nearly at the site now, the other question you might be having is, what is the plan, and why have you come to this conclusion where you needed to start a business and all the rest? So when I got back from my ski season, I took 3 different courses in property investing. I've got a background in estate agency and property management, which I didn't mention, but I did that in between the first time I went travelling when I was 21 and when I went to Australia when I was 23. So yeah, in that space of time I worked in property on the sales side, and obviously in the background and in the sort of travelling days and everything else, I've worked in construction and sort of building the properties. So yeah, broad experience and knowledge in property, and that's why I felt gravitated towards doing these property investment courses after my ski season. Why did I want to do these courses? Because I needed to have some sort of plan. You know, I was floating around like a headless chicken, so that's how I came to that. And then I was doing that when I was working for my friends, getting paid, you know, not great wages, and before I had the business and the tools. And then I was set on buying property, doing them up. But first and foremost, I needed the money to buy the property, and that was obviously a task in itself. So I needed to save up, and the only way to do that was to increase my wages, which meant I needed to make a radical change. And I realised that most jobs were paying peanuts, so I had to take a bit of a gamble, and you know, that's where I am now. So carrying on from what I was saying earlier, being a business owner is good and bad. I have more freedom, which is great. I have the ability to design the job and the creative freedom, which is good. I enjoy that, and I enjoy the challenge and the reward, because when something goes right and a customer's happy, I get the credit rather than the company or the boss or whoever's in charge. Being in charge is a nice feeling, and being in control. However, I have understood from the last year and a bit that you do come under a lot more stress and scrutiny, because it's always your head on the chopping block, and you're the one that pays the price when there's not enough work, when things go wrong, when the weather doesn't turn out the way you want it, and all the rest. So I have found myself feeling quite overwhelmed and definitely like pressure and stress, especially because I do want to buy a house, and I'm putting a lot of hopes and expectations into my current situation. So there's a lot riding on the business, at least for sort of the next stage of my plan. So I've drawn up about a 5 or 6 year plan, and I'm currently in like year 3 now of the plan, or the 3rd section. So the first section was, and I will share this publicly because I think it's just it's going to solidify my plan and show people that, you know, whether I'm on track, whether I'm off track, what happened, what went wrong. But yeah, so the first year was just basically trial and error, figuring things out, and that's when I was on the property course and sort of understanding where I am and where I need to go. Year 2 was starting the business and starting to lay the foundations, you know, have consultations with mortgage advisors and understand where I am and where I need to be, and obviously taking the loans out so I could buy the tools and all of these things. So I was sort of going backwards before I could go forwards, and now I'm stage 3 where I'm breaking even and I'm building the establishment of the established business. Sorry, I couldn't speak then. So yeah, now I'm at the stage, hopefully this year, where I can buy a house later in the year. I'm hoping that I can buy somewhere towards September, and yeah, it's all on me now to save up a bit more money to make sure the business looks as profitable and my side of the bargain to the mortgage company is an attractive one, which is really difficult to do when you're a business owner, and especially me being in the first year. Business has been sporadic and I have taken loans out, so I'm a bit concerned how that's going to fare. But my situation is my situation. There's nothing I can do about it. All I can do is put one foot in front of the other and sort of do the best I can do. So that will be something we'll have to consider and talk about a little bit later on in the year. I suppose another thing I need to add is, why do I want financial freedom, and what is financial freedom for me? So the reason why I want financial freedom, and this is really important, I think people need to really understand why they want what they want. Is it because other people have it? Is it because you think that's the right thing to do? Is it because you read about it and it sounds good? What is it? And I can answer that quite honestly, and I think I can give a pretty good reason. So I've travelled and I've lived a really amazing life, which was extremely impactful into my mindset. Sorry. And the thing is, when I was overseas and I was living that life, I felt so content, so happy, and it was the worry of money wasn't there really. You know, as long as I had enough to pay my bills and eat, I was as happy as a sandboy, and I wasn't too concerned about, you know, my career. I wasn't too concerned about status and all these things that don't really matter. What mattered to me is that I had good people around me and I had the time to travel, to do the activities and adventures that I wanted to do, and that to me showed the really important things in life. And it does just come down to the simple things, like, you know, having good people, finding, you know, a bit of purpose in whatever you're doing, and you know, getting outside in nature, keeping active and things like that. So for me, I fully understand that I don't want to be working myself to the bone until my retirement age. It just isn't in my ambitions. So for me to be financially free would allow me to have the time and have the mental clarity and sort of the ease in my soul and spirit that money isn't a big problem. And I'm not asking for millions and millions. I'm just asking for a few thousand a month, ideally, to sort of sustain my living. And that's going to be hopefully achieved through business investments such as property, that will allow me to have some type of passive income that will allow me the lifestyle I want to live. So that's kind of why property investing is quite a good one for me, I think. But I'm also open to other avenues. So that's why I want to document this journey. I want to get some sort of podcast, book, YouTube, platforms online, just things that I can create, and then they're there and you can sort of make a little bit of passive income from. Like I said, I'm not asking for millions and millions, really. You know, that'd be nice, but you know, I honestly don't feel like that's essential. As long as I can have enough to sustain a life, I would honestly be content as far as I can say right now. I mean, the goalposts always change, and perhaps my ambitions will too. But I just want to prove to people that a guy with a basic education, I didn't go to university, you know, I'm not a rocket scientist by any stretch of the imagination. I'm quite a fun guy, I enjoy life. I'm not a work addict or anything like that, but I'm just someone who has an ambition and a view, sort of a view and a goal of where I want to be, and I do genuinely think that I'm going to do it, and I believe that. And by documenting it, it's going to give people an understanding into what might be necessary, and you know, it might give them a bit of belief about their own journey. So that's sort of where this is an important process for me. So yeah.